right. Well, we are pulling the late show tonight. Welcome. If it's daytime where you are or the morning, you are equally welcome. But it is the late show for us art dads tonight. But great weekend, and I'm glad to be able to get a little time to sit down, do some work, and stream a bit. Do some drawing, get back to our Medusa that we started last week, and thought I would try to put a little time in tonight on this one, see if we can get some values going, give it kind of an ink and ink wash quality. I've been kind of staring at it off and on during the week and figured I think something with a little tone would be really great. So in addition to something that's going to go down with ink, I think I'm going to do sort of an ink and wash. So that should be fun. I got a little bit of corrections I've been realizing just staring at this thing all week. I've got a few things that I want to fix up before we actually start laying down some ink and ink wash. But should be fun. Probably won't be here real long tonight, but I definitely want to see how far we can get with some value and wash. So thank you for joining me. If you're with me live and it's this evening and it's late where you are, then we're doing the late show and let's do it together. If you're working on some work or just can't sleep or the kids are finally in bed and you have some alone time, put me on in the background and let's spend some time together. Let's have some fun and get some work done here. Okay, so yeah, let me just check stream health real quick. Looks like we're doing pretty good. We are live, and when I go live, I usually leave the chat open. So if you're out there and you have any questions, or if you want to chime in or start a discussion while we're working together, that's fine. I love it. I'd love to hear from you. Hope you had a good week. I hope all your creative projects are going well, and that things are looking up and looking brighter. So pretty good on this end. Had some fun at some soccer games with the kiddo this weekend. Getting ready to go back to school where we're at here in San Francisco. The schools are going back tomorrow. So after this long, hellish year, we are finally going back, and the kids are going back to school. And yeah, are we nervous? You bet. But we feel pretty confident. We've got the vaccines going. We're good. Grandparents are good. Teachers good. And it's a positive experience. Everyone's really excited. So I don't know where they're at, where you're at, but that's where we are here. Excuse me. One thing I always like to have as a beverage while we're working together. So I don't know what you're drinking, but tonight it will be tea for me, as it usually is when it's late. I love my tea. Tonight it'll be mint. So I don't know what kind you're drinking, but for me it's mint. So if you're up and it's late where you are, let's hang out. So I have a little bit of corrections that I wanted to get done on this piece. Just little things I was kind of noticing from last week that after staring at it, kind of giving it fresh eyes and coming back, which is always a good idea, by the way. You're working on something before you're really going to ink it or put those paint layers down, depending on the medium that you're working in. You want to make sure that, proportions look okay, anatomy looks okay, and things are feeling all right. Sometimes you miss these things when you first are working on it. And I corrected this arm a little bit. I don't know if you can tell from last week, but I corrected this arm a little bit. It was kind of hanging way out there in kind of an unnatural way. I brought out her fingers a little bit more. I have some nails, some sort of devilish, demonish nails. And I hung her thumb out there, but now that I'm looking at this thumb, I'm realizing, no. That doesn't make sense that it would be that far out. I mean, I think those archers, they hold with two fingers, and the thumb frequently is out to the side, but not that much. That's just ridiculous. So again, fresh eyes, right? So I'm going to go ahead and correct that and pull that back in. And again, I'm giving myself a good roadmap because I am working in ink. And while there are ways to correct ink, I don't want to have to correct too much if I don't have to. And, you know, a little caution, a little preemptive caution here and there can really help. So let's see. So bringing that, the base of that hand in a little bit more, her wrist coming in there. I've got a couple fingers. Little bits of anatomy that I hadn't quite worked out. And that's fine. I think I was thinking about toying with this little bit of the rib cage here. Got the abdominal muscles coming up, and then we're sort of hitting the edge of the ribs, which kind of take a little bit more of this bend, which I'm using to accentuate the curvature here, which I think I may want to come a little lower with. I really want to arch her back like she's arching forward, which I think I have to bring that rib cage down just a little bit. You know, ribs are probably somewhere in there. And of course, ribs kind of take that bend. So a little bit of her bony ribs, she's kind of a corpse. And I'm probably giving her more muscle tone than she would have for a demon. There's a name for this, for what she is classification-wise. I should know this. But that's pretty cool. I want her to have a semi kind of athletic body, but not unfeminine either. I wanted signs of her younger life that she had before she became, you know, cursed. A little bit more of that straighter elbow there. Lengthen the forearm. So that's all looking pretty good. Just a little more curvature. Good. Good. Of course, she's now turning into this snaky creature. Her fingers wrapping around a little bit more there. This hand is not feeling great. So sort of knuckles there. There we go. So she's sort of gracefully holding it she hasn't really drawn the bow yet, but probably will be soon. And of course, right behind those fingers is going to be that string, right? Probably wouldn't hurt to use straight edge. Don't want a sloppy string there. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. If you're just joining, feel free to drop into the chat if you feel like it. It's always nice to meet new folks and see how things are heading your way. Don't do music on this channel because I figure, we all want to listen to what we want to listen to. So I suggest that you got something going in the background. For me tonight, I'm doing some sort of down-tempo hip-hop, and that's my friend, my music. But whatever you got going, put a little something on of your own, get a beverage, draw along, work on something that you're working on. Okay. Looking pretty good. So I'd address that issue. Oh, we were talking about whether she would have like a protector. Archers have that sort of arm protector, but that's not very... It's kind of cool if she's really into the sport of archery, but I kind of think that Medusa, this is sort of something she picked up. I don't necessarily think that this is something she set out to do. So this is her weapon, but I don't think she's into all the swag and all the accessories that go along with it. So, but I do want to give her something a little, maybe kind of classic looking, kind of godlike, mythical. Maybe she's got some cuffs, some bracelets here with some sort of inlay on them. Maybe this could act as a little bit of her protector too, of her forearm. She doesn't wear the cool release glove. So there's all kinds of gadgetry that goes along with these kinds of things. But in these times, I think it was a little simpler maybe. But I like the idea that maybe she has these, I don't know, bands, wristbands maybe. We were talking about maybe giving her a necklace too in the preliminary design, but I don't want her to be too fancy. I mean, where's the line? Something a little bit like, I'm going to cover her breasts here with some sort of shielding, metallic shielding. I don't know how they're held on. If I need to consider like making structural sense out of a bra. But I kind of felt like she needed something to cover a little modesty there, and then maybe also some kind of shiny metallic kind of thing. So I don't know what a necklace would look like on this, but I kind of feel like maybe she's got some pendant she wears. Maybe it was one of her victims, or maybe just something she now wears. We'll see. Maybe I'll keep it, maybe I'll lose it. All right, I think I'm just about ready to really get into some inking now. Okay. Good enough for me. So I think tonight I'm going to use two, I think these are Pentel's brush pens. This one isn't actually. I think this one might be a Japanese ink brush, but I'm pretty sure this one was a Pentel. I should know this shit, but I kind of saw it and wanted to play around with it a long time ago, and I've always just had it in my kit. I think it's Pentel, or at least I'm pretty sure Pentel makes a version of it. Actually, that one's not open. Yeah, this one's still new. I have another one that's open, but I think I left it at my other workspace, so I have to kind of feed this one in. So you can see I'm kind of, it's a little pressure filled, so it's kind of moving that ink towards the tip there, and you can see that it's starting to run out the front here, which is probably a good time not to have a spare piece. I'll bring this in so you can kind of see. Yeah, these things are pretty nice considering that they're portable. They deliver a really nice variety of tip, like very, very fine tip point. So you can definitely get in there if you need to. This is a fun one to use. So I'm going to use this. I may need to jump into using this Pocket Pentel one, which everybody knows. This is a great one. This one does a really good job of getting in there fine too. And for a portable pocket pen, you can't beat it. So these are more like calligraphy pens, but they deliver a nice point there. So I'll be using that, and then of course the other one. This one is gray, I believe. Now is this one black or black? This one's black too. Or this one's a darker black. This one's a little bit of a lighter gray. So let's see how it goes. I'll be kind of going between these two. This one's a little more of the darker black. I've had this one a long time. Okay. Let's see what we get here. So the other thing that's kind of fun to do with these is you can actually add a little bit of water to them and wash them out a bit. So you can sort of build up some tone and then thin it out with a little bit of water if you hit it quick. If you wait too long, then it will definitely get dry on you, it won't move around. So let's see how this goes here. I'm going to start with something that I know can be a little bit on the darker side. So just to kind of see how this works, I kind of keep them really close. This one's just water. I could try this zoom feature too. I'm realizing you guys are pretty far away. So move over to my camera here. I'm going to zoom in. There we go. That's a little better. Move up a little bit more into the middle. This paper is going to not take the water so well, so I'll have to stay a little bit lighter with it. Kind of working down in this area so I have a chance to get my legs. It's still coming in pretty heavy. I think it's because of the darker tone paper. I'm not getting as much brilliance into it as I thought I would. So I may have to rethink this a little bit of a different way. So good old fallback. I can always go to some marker. I wasn't sure that my gray was going to work on this, and I think my gray, in order to get it thinned out on this paper's a little too lightweight. So I'm going to have to go with something that's not so requiring so much water, because this paper is not super thick. And while it'll take ink, it won't take the water. So in order to get a little more gray tone, I'm going to have to use something else. So I think I'm going to drop back and use some good old markers here. Just some Copics, and see if I can get what I need out of these. You got to improvise, right? So let's see. Start with the warmer grays. Let's try this. So I'm getting a little bit of brush stroke, some mark in there. It's not as fluid because the paper's absorbing it. So I'm going to get a little bit of streakiness, but I think by the time I'm done, that'll be okay. If I were working on vellum or something marker like, I probably would not get the streak so much, but I'm thinking I may be able to get this to work here. Gotta improvise. That's doing a little bit better. Okay, so my first thought was bringing this back in here. I'll move up a little bit. I am going to put a portion of her body into somewhat of some shadow. By the way, right now I'm using like a warm 3. And I want her skin to have a little bit of that coolness. You know, come to think of it, maybe the cool gray would be a better way to go, seeing as how it would give her a little more of that zombie look. I'm on warm paper, so the cool might kind of give her a skin tone that's a little bit cooler. So I'll start with something a little bit lighter. Now marker always goes down a little bit darker, but it dries just a bit lighter, and that's okay. As you can see that this is getting nice, a little bit lighter over here. So I'm going to go ahead and march on in with this. And again, I'm doing a cool 20% now. This would be just sort of her skin tone. So you can see how light that is, but that's good. That's fine. That's actually perfect. I can still go darker, create some values, some skin tones. Put a little light on there if I want to bring out some. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to remember to stay in the zoom here. All right. So I'll have to come back and work a little bit on this tone that I got building down here, but I'm not too worried about it. I'll come back and work on that a little bit later. I think for the main part, I got to get things moving up in this area. If I want a more solid scrub, I'm using the flat just because it gives better contact. The really, really sort of solid spaces. And then if it needs to go a little lighter, I could switch to the brush and taper it off. Back in the day, we didn't use much of the brush tips at all. It was just mostly the flats, but the brushes are really nice for softening edges and things like that, especially on the vellum or marker paper. Okay. All right. So I got her snakes. Her snakes in there. going to darken a little bit around her eyes because I want her eyes to kind of glow like they're getting ready to turn someone to stone, which we know that that was her thing, right? If you look her in the eye, that you turn to stone. So she's got these kind of dangerous glowy eyes. Okay. Well, little change of game plan. That's okay. Things happen. I didn't anticipate this paper would not deal with the water so well. So I'll have to use something a little drier. Markers will work just fine. Okay. So let's figure out what we're going to do from here. So maybe the bow. Which I'm going to turn. Back up a little bit. All right. So staying pretty light. Gonna move now a little bit darker. This is a 30%. Not a huge difference, but in a few places I might begin to notice. right. So now I'm using, again, a little bit darker tone here, separating a little bit more of where, I mean, it's all going to be dark because her skin will not be very light, but a little bit of separation of the darks, and I'll definitely be hitting them and going darker even than this, but the beginnings of finding that form. Sometimes when we're concepting, especially if you're a person that likes to work in value, you know, not having a tight line drawing, but actually letting the values bring out the forms can be a really fun way to discover things. So she's got her little demon teeth, which I will definitely be going in a bit darker. A little more glow around the eyes again. She is looking positively dead. She was most certainly dead. Which is good. She is a Medusa. All right. This is looking good. I'm really liking the beginnings of the scales kind of working here on the sides. Move up a little, sorry. I don't want to be too far out because then you can't actually see any of the subtle detail that's going on in the shading here, but if I get too close, then I'm off screen too easily. So I'm kind of implying a little bit of more of her scaliness. This part will be probably pretty dim down here though. I don't really want this part to stand out. So there'll definitely be some sort of core shadow happening in there. Okay. All right. Now, background tone. This is where you go to the extra wide. So let's see if I have something over here that'll do the job. My bag of tricks, of which I am positively did not bring my A game. I have a lot of markers, but I didn't bring them to my table. Let me see what I got back here. Huh. This might work. What else we got back here? None of those are garbage. Okay. Let's try this. Better keep that closer. So, in the background, want to create a little bit of transition tone. I don't want to leave this too open. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to block in some gray in the background with this big chunky wide 10%. Now I'm going to do it with sort of a vertical stroke so that the strokes themselves don't become too characteristic. Almost like maybe this becomes almost like a texture. It's pretty light, so I'm not even sure how much it's really going to stand out. But I need something back there to create a little, create a little bit of a gradient. So if my stroke shows up at all, which maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, it might almost read like it's some texturing on the wall or something. It's pretty light here, so I doubt it's going to show up much at all, to be honest. But even if I create a little bit of some one thing I wanted to do before I got too far. So I wanted to erase this line. I went a little heavy last week. Let me zoom back out. I think maybe we're missing a little too much. I had this line to kind of remind me compositionally where I was going to be at, but I don't necessarily want to go down with a line 100%. So I'm going to lighten it before I go too much marker, because the marker might actually kind of seal it in, which it looks like maybe it is a little bit, but if I press in a little bit, I can get it out. Got some other tricks too up my sleeve, but I do want to crop the picture. I just wasn't real sure where. We'll see. Okay. Continuing with a little bit of this toning of the wall. So this is just a real wide marker, 10%, just to give a little tone. Because I want her edge to be almost a little bit silhouetted against some light kind of coming up to the back, and I've got some other tricks I can do too. But I'm not working on marker paper, so getting great blends is not going to be super easy. This paper is super absorbent, and part of the reason you work on vellum and markers is because you want that paper to keep the marker looser on the surface, so you can blend it gradually and not let it soak and dry up and soak in too quickly. So vellum is great for this, which is why if you're working in purely markers and you want to get blends, that's the best surface to work on. But I don't care. I'm actually kind of hoping for something with a little bit of almost painterly quality anyway. So for me, I don't mind the streakiness, just as long as I can control the streakiness a little bit. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Not bad. Any other absolute tones we can set in a little bit? Well, I would feel a whole lot better if I could get my tones in the middle portion of the figure to kind of match up what I have down here, just so I have a baseline. So I think I have to go a little darker still. So I'm going to jump down another little bit darker. I'm staying in kind of a 3-value range, at least to start. If I have to blend things out, I can. But to start, I want to work with something a little bit. Let's see how this looks. Now I'm figuring she's kind of silhouetted against the back there. I like the idea that she's a little bit dark and mysterious, so you can't see all her detail. So I'm going to start in where I think I know it'll be the darkest and see what this looks like. So I'm sort of starting in softly around the edges here. So this is kind of part of her. Okay, I like this. This is pretty good. I like how her scales almost become, well, they're platelets, right? They're armor, just like they would be on a reptile. Hope you guys are working on your projects at home. Hope things are going well there. I might zoom in here as I'm getting in. having a blast, people. This is what it's all about for me. I love being in this zone. I don't know if it's like for you guys when you're working, but you just go to this wonderful place where your mind and your hands and your body are all kind of working together. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I think some of the alcohol was getting to me. Meaning this alcohol. By the way, tea break. Oh. All right. Yeah, I don't know. These markers seem a little strong for whatever reason tonight. Okay. Now, some of this I'm going to do with ink, so I'm not going to worry too much about getting every single value because I do want this to have some ink on it, and I can do it with tone, but then I'm losing some of that graphic quality of the line, which I do want. So I am going to begin to build in a little bit of tone, but I'm not going to render too much until I have some line down there because I could be spending a lot of time trying to get the values to work when I might just really like the quality of the line. So I'm not going to overdo it. I'm just trying to get a basic value separation for what I know will be dark, what'll have tone, and what'll be dark. And basically I've put down kind of tone and a suggestion of major shadow groups. Lost my tunes here. Give me 1 second. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I got something working in my nose. All right. The more, sorry, I'm sniffling so much. The more I can begin to see it with the value, then the more confident when you're going in there and you're going to ink it, you'll be. So, like, finding it with the values is really, if you didn't start out with something that was really delineated or you weren't exactly sure, you can work out the values, and then when you ink, you're definitely more in your realm. I had a pretty good line art when I started this, so I don't know how much I'm in that boat, but eventually I do want to stop here on the values so that I can let it become line again. And that is mysterious. Why am I getting the sniffles? It's weird. Something made me sneeze. I guess it was the markers, but okay. A little bit of help over here. I'm going to go in a little bit closer again. Maybe let's try something a little closer. See what happens if we go way in there. Let's test it out. We're trying things tonight, so. That's not bad. All right, let's try this. Bringing you in a little bit tighter so I can kind of begin to see a little bit of this texture. Although I'm really thinking that a lot of this, like what we're seeing over here, will be kind of inked out, darkened a little bit. So putting a little bit of a, this is sort of the body shadow, core shadow, but it's getting lighter as it goes away, so I can't continue to. All right. Not bad. Maybe a little bit of a second pass on the mouth here. I got to make sure I'm staying in the field of view here. Boop. There we go. Sorry, I'm watching the delay so I can see where the camera is. All right. Okay. This is pretty good. So we've done up to like 50% here. And I think from this point, it would be really good to really go in with some line now. So we are going to put down marker and pick back up our brush. And again, on a lot of papers, this would be a little closer to what we'd be getting. But I think because I'm on the dark paper, it's going down pretty dark pretty quick. But that's okay. I'll give myself, on my other brush, I'll use the other one for really spots, spot blacks, things like that. So I'm going to come in here with a little bit of line. Stay up a little bit. Sorry, I'm a little off screen here. All right. let's bring this down a little bit. Work my way up the arm. Thick and thin, just to help bring out that form a little bit. So I think we said that she had a couple earrings. We were going to give her a little bit of the pointed ears. I'm going to bring out a little bit of my contrasty line when the snake's bodies sort of separate from the darkness. But the key is going to be to let those snakes disappear into the darkness so that I don't have to work so hard at delineating what is supposed to basically be a moving bundle of snakes, which sounds insane to have to paint. This is only kind of a drawing, so I just have to begin to separate some of the snake heads from the darkness, but let the darkness do the work. So a little bit of contrast to bring out a turning body here, a turning edge there, a little bit of movement, little form that suddenly pops out, but not too much. Let the mystery do the work. How am I doing? Am I too far in? That seems pretty good. Help it with its silhouette a little bit, but not too much. Yeah. It's this delicate balance of letting the form find itself, not defining it too much. There we go. Okay, now for those teeny tiny demon teeth. The worst. All right. All right. So a little bit of line here and there, accentuating little pockets of shadow. All right. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this pen to hold a straight line for as long as I need it. So I think for this next part, I'm going to switch over to maybe like a micron. Just to see if I can get a nice clean hard edge. I can't have something that that's communicating its texture through its contours. It can't be slick, smooth and straight if I'm using a waving line. So I'm gonna have to use a micron to do this next bit. Just for this line. Just to get the sort of exactness of these arrows. There we go. Maybe a little bit on the bow here. Okay. Now the string, also kind of important. All right. Let's take a quick look at this thing zoomed out. I'm going to move my camera back out just a little bit. It's kind of fun playing around. Just to see what we're looking at here full screen, how the values are coming along. In combination with line, by the way. It's looking pretty good, pretty good. Not bad, actually. Little details now, here and there. I need a little more tone, I think, in Okay. This micron has a slightly darker black to it, but it's also a fixed size. So if you're doing something very technical and even, you definitely want to use these. But I'm actually really liking the more painted look of the calligraphy pen, because the thick and thin qualities give it so much more interest and intrigue. But I'm also using only kind of a gray. So I think on the really technical, clean, hard, kind of hard surfacey edges, I will use this. But when it comes to more textured stuff, I'm going to switch back to the calligraphy pen. And I'm going to start using the darker calligraphy pen, because I've been using the gray calligraphy pen, which is fine. It gives me a good degree of darker value, but it doesn't define things as well. All right. Well, this is fun. I am having a blast. I hope you're having a good one where you are. Hope the work's going well as we're chat is open if you do want to chime in and say hello. It's always nice to meet new folks out there. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. If it's night where you are, if you're catching this on the replay, I hope you have a good day. These streams end up getting archived on my YouTube channel. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you can see a lot more of my older streams that have been out there for a little while. I'd love to subscribe if you got it, but either way, they're out there for you to enjoy if you find yourself wanting to watch more. You can appear right up here above me. You got my information. I got my website up there, my Instagram. So, of course, you're welcome to catch me in those places too. I have a Discord channel I started here, so if you check in my about information here on my Twitch page or my YouTube page, you will see that I have a Discord channel, and if you want to continue, have any questions or continue the discussion about something you saw here in stream, or just advice, or I'll give critique sometimes. So if you have any work you'd like some feedback on, I'm open to it. So you're welcome to join our Discord channel there too. All right, let's see. I'm going to start narrowing a few things down here. Sorry, I'm off screen there. So the lower end of us is kind of coming across here. And then I'm picturing that there's like the next tier of the sort of, I wanted to give the impression of kind of layers. So there's more of the snaky body that is farther back. Sense of kind of winding around. Okay, I need to give this a little bit of help here. Maybe I'll try and zoom in on this part. Let's check that out. Here on the tail. I'll switch to my calligraphy pen here for this. Sort of continues along with the feeling of the scales. And it kind of goes into the rattle. And as we talked about last time, all snakes actually, well, that I know of, all snakes actually rattle their tails. It's only the rattlesnake that actually makes as much noise and alerts us to their presence. But I had 2 or 3 snakes that all rattled their tail when they got excited, usually around feeding time. It was just something that I think it's like either a defense mechanism or a just giving a little suggestion of a couple of the different movements. I guess it's kind of like cheating the animation or something. Giving just a little suggestion that we're catching the rattles moving in a few positions like that. I don't generally go for things that make a lot of motion lines and stuff. But that movement just says so much about her mood. So I felt it was kind of really important. Okay. Coming along. Pretty good. Not bad. Kind of fun for something that was just sort of an off-the-cuff drawing that we started last time. I definitely want to work up these values a little bit more. But I think for the moment, a couple things. I have a few lines that I need to define still. And then I think I'll try to go a little bit darker. And then I think we might be up for a little bit of some white highlights and before we get out of here tonight. So some loosely defining her edges. It's feeling pretty good. Sorry if I'm off screen there for a sec. Let's bring it back in. Sorry, guys. I actually don't zoom in very much, but I think in order to get the detail of what we're after, we kind of have to here. All right. So when we started this, we were talking a little bit about the use of white with the black, which is definitely something that will be great to add in the finishing touches. All right. Thanks for hanging with me tonight. I think everybody's pretty quiet tonight. Must be late where you're at. It is very late here. In addition to being an artist and an educator, and a streamer, I'm also a dad. So, getting quiet time to do dad's thing is not always easy these days. So yeah, if you're looking for me, I am frequently out here late Saturday or late Sunday in this case. Looking pretty good, feeling pretty good about things here. Most everything is looking pretty readable. All right. Looking pretty good here. Let's take a zoom out. So liking where this is going. And we're in a pretty good spot time-wise. So now I think what I need to do is to darken some shadows a little bit more. And I got to find a good value to do it with. I think I'm gonna work with my C3. I want a little more contrast, I think, around the edges of the body here. So I'm gonna darken her just a little bit. Give her body just a little bit more bring it back in on the zoom here. All right. Back out. And I'm going to drop in a little bit more of my number 2 value here. Just for my background. Just to get a little bit this wall to come out. You know, maybe I have a better 20%. I think this one's getting a little dry. Well, maybe it'll have to be 3. My 2 is almost done, and I don't want to take the time to fill it out right now. So let's try a little 3 then, shall we? Use the soft side of the brush now so I can kind of taper it off if I need to. Sorry if this is disorienting. It's probably watching the art go upside down like that doesn't help. Sorry, give me 1 second here. Okay, a little bit darker in a few spots that I know are going to be dark. So I'm now going in with a 50%. So if you're still hanging with me, I'm now going in with a 80%. So I'm getting pretty dark now. Not enough to compete with the black line, but just about as close as you're going to get and not compete. All right. Let's get some white on here. Now, a couple things we can use for white would be so one of the things I like to use is bleed proof white. Dr. P.H. Martin's is really good. Also, some jelly pens are really good. And of course, we could always use some like white colored pencil. Boy, I just set myself up so good. Got so much stuff that I did not make available. Let me see if I can reach it. Sit tight 1 second. Okay, we're back. So to finish this up, the final touches that I was looking for was we were talking about the pH Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white. A good quality product. I use this when I have to do heavy painted areas, clean up, speculars, that kind of thing. We've also got your jelly pens. Jelly pens are a great tool. Not good for big areas, but for little spot areas, they can work good. The last would be maybe something like a Prismacolor white, which is really good because it also gives you a little bit of tooth being a pencil. If you need something that has a little bit of texture in it, it can work. So I think between these three, I should be able to get something going here. Okay, so first and foremost, I am fairly certain that I am going to make Medusa's eyes white. So let me zoom in here a little bit more. Bring in And let's start making little dabs. These jelly pens, you know, they stick in a very unique way. They don't just flow on out of there like a whiteout or something like that, which, by the way, is another good one you can use from time to time. Whiteout isn't very archival, though, and it can get crusty and cake off and cause a few other problems, but jelly pens, I find I have to kind of dab with them a little bit. Like they don't just flow out. They tend to clog very easily, but when they deliver, especially on toned paper, it's awesome. It's like the perfect little thing. So I'm going to start with that. Again, kind of dab, 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 right? Dab, dab, dab. But on toned paper, this stuff really pops, which is the part I love about it. So it gives us a little feeling of that metal kind of quality we were after. Which I think does a pretty good job. And so for most of these things that I want to be metal, I think this jelly pen is going to be perfect. Okay, I also wanted some little bits of light appearing on these wristbands. Now, I don't know what these wristbands would have on them, but I pictured some sort of like gold, plated metal, maybe hammered, tempered, to give it kind of an interesting texture. Her nails. Maybe this bow or this. Sorry, I'm off screen again. Ah, real entertaining there. Okay, these are most of the bright. So give a little bit on her earrings here. Just a few little bright specks like that, just to pop things out. Okay. Now, the next part, I think I'm going to use just a little bit of this pencil to bring in a little bit of light. So I pictured there'd be a little bit of reflected light coming in over here. So I am just going to hit just a little bit of this edge lightly. It's a little bit of like maybe moonlight catching on a little bit of that form. A little bit of the snakes catching some of that light. Just a little bit there. So you can see here that this little bit of white is just picking up that tooth of the paper really nicely and giving her flesh like a little bit of a texture to it too. As it starts to, you know, maybe a little bit of her rattle. Put a little bit of light here on the edges of her scales. So catching a little bit there. Got a little Stevie Wonder rolling here in my head. I don't know what you guys are listening to, but always the boogie. Okay. I think we're just about there now. And I am ready to wind this down. I have got myself a day tomorrow, but sometimes you just gotta stretch it. You gotta push it out. So I'm pushing her glowiness of her eyes out a little bit more with the hazy glow. Just like little dust particles on there. Her eyes are catching a little bit of that glow. So one of the things that we talked about a little bit was the idea that she's also carrying a quiver of arrows, right? So it seems like maybe she would have a quiver, and I kind of completely forgot about this, so I think I'm going to add a little, see what I can add here. Figuring that a strap would probably come down. I don't know. Choose a straight edge here just to make it polished. Sorry, I'm going to back you up a little bit just so you can see. So I've got the arrows kind of running through here, right? So they're going to be kind of down in here. So we got to figure that quiver of arrows is probably going to be okay. Can't believe I waited to now to do this. All right, let's hit this with the marker. Let's block this in quick. Let's go in with a 5. All right. Not bad. For a quick quiver of arrows, I could feasibly give that a little bit more. All right. Little cleanup now. One little thing I'd like to do, since I have my straight edge here, all right, guys. Let's call this one. My name is Trey Gallaher. If you're interested in checking out more of my stuff, you can see right up there above me there in the my contact information, the upper corner there. You can get me at treygallaher.com. You can check me out on Instagram, Trey Gallaher, and Art by Trey Gallaher on Facebook. All the Trey Gallahers. So I have a Discord channel, as I mentioned earlier in the stream. If you're interested in getting in on the discussion, talking a little bit more about work, your work, all of our work, my work, let's keep the discussion going. I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys, and I welcome you to join. Otherwise, I'm usually out here on Saturday nights or Sunday nights, sometimes Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings, but usually in the evening time on the weekends. So I'd love it if you could drop by again. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. It's been a good one. I think we ended up with something really pretty fun here. I enjoyed this part 2. If you're interested in seeing how this one got started, there's part 1. This is the final and part 2. And I will see you all next time. Be good to yourself. Be good to other people. And most of all, be good to our planet. Let's take care of this one and only planet that we have here. Okay? Have a great week. Good luck on all your creative projects, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.